Hello everyone. Welcome to CEO Chat. I am Christelle from Batchbook, and I just have a couple of things to talk about before we turn it over to our CEOs. This is a question and answer chat hosted by Batchbook. Our guests will be talking about being a CEO and about small business. If you are watching live and have a question, you can post it to Twitter @Batchbook or comment on YouTube. At the end, we'll open it up to our Hangout guests for questions, and I will share any that come in from the audience. We have Pamela, the CEO of Batchbook, Pamela O'Hara, and Chris Byers from Formstack. And let's get started.
Thank you very much, Christelle, and thanks, Chris, for joining us on the inaugural CEO Hangout. We're pretty excited to get a chance to do this. You and I were talking the other day about how hard it is as CEOs, especially technology CEOs, outside the typical technology hubs, to find people and find time and find opportunities to just sit and chat about what it's like to run a SaaS company or a technology company. So I'm excited to get a chance to do this and appreciate your joining us for this. So I guess let's start off with just a very brief background. You know, who is Formstack? What are you guys doing? How long have you been doing it?
Cool. Yeah, I appreciate that. So Formstack's been around since 2006, and we started really out of our founder. His name was Ade Alano, and he was doing custom web development, and at the time he really got kind of irritated with having to build web forms for all of his clients, and so it was a bit of tedious work, and so he said, hey, when I build a tool, it'll make it easier for me, and while I'm at it, let me put it out on the internet publicly and start with a free product and just see where that goes. And so over the course of a few years, that year and a half probably, it began to take off a little bit, just organically and with a little bit of maybe marketing spend, and led to the first hire, and then led to continued growth and more hires. And today we look back and we're now 6.5 years old and have a team of almost 20 people. So what we do is make it easy to build online web forms, and so you can put a form on your site for event registration, taking a donation, selling something, a survey, collect the data on our system, and then send it to either store it in our database or send it to our friends at Batchbook or to MailChimp or to Constant Contact, and then kind of do something with the data from there. So that's a bit of what we do.
Awesome, very good. We've hung out with the Formstack folks for a number of years now. So I think we started about the same time. We were talking the other day. We're about the same size, so it's been pretty fun. Getting to know a lot of the Indianapolis folks in the various places we do end up together. So yeah. It seems like, I think I remember the very first call I did with you guys was 3 or 4 years ago. So it's been pretty fun to grow up together a little bit, I guess. So let's get into, and feel free to throw out ideas yourself, but I thought it'd be fun to talk about just some of the things you guys are doing to help grow your business. How do you, the number one question I hear from the startup companies we work with here, from people I talk to at South by Southwest, is, how do you get business? How do you find customers? What are you guys doing? Tell us the secret sauce.
Yeah, so that's, as you said, a great question. And, what we did was we opened the door, and hundreds of thousands of people just came knocking at us, and they pay us millions of dollars a day, and we make so much money.
Oh my God, it's the same thing. It's amazing. It's so easy.
Yeah. It is funny. I was talking to somebody today who, it's what people often feel when they look at a company like Formstack, like, oh, everything you've done is awesome, and it just works, and it's beautiful. And The images we portray are much more beautiful than us, knocking our heads against the wall in the office, trying to figure out how we are going to get the next user or 10 or 100 customers, whatever. So, traditionally we have done a lot of the very, tradition isn't the right word in this industry, but being 6 years old in tech is like being 93 years old, I think. So we do a lot of inbound marketing, and we are traditionally based on the basics, Google Ads, and over 6 years we've tweaked what those look like and tried to spend a lot more money and tried to spend a lot less money and tried new campaigns, and so are kind of constantly tweaking that. We're, of course, doing the basics, hopefully, of SEO and reaching out and developing good content. And then, I'd say more than anything, those have provided the consistent kind of new exposure to customers over time. But we're always trying new things. So we recently have made a much bigger effort to make our app really easy to embed within other people's apps. So we've just launched a bit of a deeper kind of partnership with you guys, and know that will likely even go further. Of, hey, if you're in Batchbook and you need to do something that collect a lot more data, sell something, and just feed that right into the CRM, then why not be able to do that from within Batchbook? There's no reason to have to go leave your site, log into Formstack, copy a bunch of stuff, paste it, whatever. So more than anything, though, I think the sad message for a lot of people will be it's time. And we've been around now for 6 years, and so more people know about us, and so the organic word of mouth discussion comes about, and the natural lift happens over time. So it's consistently making the product better, and therefore the conversation around the product is better. So those messages, I think, we've done a lot of traditional things, and we've hung in there, and then tried to be innovative along the way and find new methods that don't cost a lot of money, because paying for new customers to find you is a cycle that can get pretty ugly to stay on all the time, because it's always going to cost more money.
Yeah, we've done that too. I mean, we experimented with AdWords, didn't see a ton of success. It was a nice way to sort of test out some jargon, sort of see it was sort of A/B testing for taglines, but we did not see huge conversions coming out of the AdWords we were running, but we actually, will cycle back to some of these more traditional paths every couple of years, just because ads and newsletters didn't work 2 years ago. Maybe we just had the wrong message. We weren't, in the right phase. So we tend to keep trying these things. It's funny, I talked to a group of entrepreneurs a couple months ago, and I started the whole thing off saying, I have the answer. Integrations, that's the answer. Find partners, integrate with them. That's what works. And then I jokingly was like, actually, that's what worked for us. That might not work for you. The fun of this whole business is figuring out what works for you. And about 5 of them came up to me afterwards, and they were like, okay, so integrations is what we have to do. Who should we integrate with? And I was like, you aren't listening.
Yeah. Well, so you guys may know this about yourselves, but one of the things I appreciate about having watched you from the outside is you guys are the most social bunch of people of a company that I've seen anywhere. Like, if there's a social, it's an entrepreneurial event or South by Southwest or whatever, you guys have friends hanging around. There's always something interacting with people, but it's great to see, because a lot of us, often we try to do things all electronically and digitally, and yet it even runs with what you guys do. It's building relationships, and so, but again, there more buzz and more social, I think, activity comes out of Batchbook than I would typically expect out of a company kind of in our size range.
Well, thank you very much, and I deserve all the credit. I just have these other folks here to I'm kidding. We have a great team, and I think almost the whole team gets involved. Our customer experience team, our marketing team. I think a few of our tech team even have Twitter accounts and Facebook accounts. They're out there, so yeah, it's a huge group effort, led by Christelle. So it's pretty fun. So I guess what do you do? We talk about being the same size. I don't know about you guys, but we're at the point now where we're having to put a little tiny more structure around what it is we're doing. Where every once in a while I ask for an expense report and people are like, what? Like paperwork? We don't. It's a tech company. What do you do to help maintain the culture of the startup, the rogue bandits, but also grow?
Yeah. So it is one thing that we've discovered over the past year is we used to sit around and be like, we never want to have 1,000 people. We want to be all loose and just have an awesome time and create a cool product. And yet we hired people over time to fill a role. And it was just a few months ago I looked back and I was like, oh, wow, we accidentally pushed ourselves over this ledge that we hired too many people to be that anymore. Like we fell off that's possible to go with the no structure, kind of methods. And so yeah, we've had to start putting processes in place and think about vision a little bit more. And so and build culture. And so some of the things we've done in the recent past are we actually hired what we've called a culturist. And so her roles are around recruiting, doing some basic keeping our office running smoothly. But her top priority is documenting, defining, and building the culture. So we kind of have these natural things that we do without ever thinking about this is kind of creating culture. And so funny enough, has a psychology major, and so she's kind of part of that role is like sitting around and just watching people and how can we turn that into principles or things that we do on a regular basis to make sure that, okay, yeah, if we are 100 people instead of 20, we can still maintain a fun, engaging, kind of creative culture. So hiring that role, and even though it's not her full-time, what she does all day, every day, having that title kind of begins to mean something that's important to us. So that's some of it. The one thing we've done that I had never, ever done is attempt to build a vision recently. And there's actually a deli in Michigan called Zingerman's Deli that puts on a lot of classes and stuff about this. So I, of course, didn't do the classes. I just read one article and figured out how to do it on my own. But we, anyway, just went through that exercise of beginning to form a vision so we can look out and say, hey, here's what we want to be 3 years from now. So that's the beginnings for us. I'm curious, what's that look like for you guys?
Well, I think that's very smart, hiring a psychology major to just sit and watch everyone and, make sure they're all having fun. Yeah, we've run into this too. We've moved offices a number of times, and we're finally in, what I would call the sort of grown-up office at this point. We're in the Knowledge District. We're in Providence, Rhode Island, and the city itself is trying to, term part of the sort of revitalized part of the city as the Knowledge District and get tech companies to move in here. So we're in an old warehouse converted space. So we're at that point, and we've been a virtual company for so long. It's been hard for us to sort of juggle between having part of the team here interacting, working together, a lot more collaboration in the office, but we also have a large part of our team working virtually. I mean, we have someone in Seattle, someone in New York, someone in Florida. So those folks don't have an option. You know, they are far away. So sort of maintaining that connection and that communication as we grow and as we get, you know, real offices with real desks and real chairs. That's been a challenge, but you know, it's one of those things that we're like, we're not perfect, but we're just going to keep trying, and let's get bigger monitors so you can read facial expressions better over Skype, and let's get, you know, better microphones, and that actually we are still working on better microphones because we have a hard time when there's a room of 15 people trying to all talk over each other. But yeah, I think it's, you know, for us it's almost a weekly thing we have to just keep working on.
Yeah, that's a great, the video conferencing is interesting because I've actually just done something completely odd, and most of our team is in Indianapolis, and I am now living in Oklahoma City. So my wife took a job here, and so I am the odd, really one of two people that does not work physically in the Indianapolis office. And so we've actually begun to rely on, like, got the giant screen plus Skype camera on both ends because, yeah, you want to be able to communicate and make sure the message gets across and minimize at least the confusion, the frustration, and all that. And yet, I'm sure that, to your point about microphones and video technology is the oddest thing. Like, I can't figure out why it's not more reliable, and I'll be glad to pay for Skype if it works. Like,
right.
They're not even offer really a paid video version, but I'm like, I'll pay for an elevated service if it actually worked all the time, and there isn't anything out there that we've found yet that's at least in our price range. So, yeah. But interesting kind of barriers.
Yeah, we've found the same thing, and you know, it's frustrating, especially for a technology company, when your technology is not, you know, serving all of your needs. You're like, but it should. We have the bandwidth. We have, you know, everything we need. It's just, but we're getting there. It's a lot of fun. So I see we have a couple of other folks who are joining us now. So let me make sure. Let me get us over. I'm gonna see. We have Gustavo Reyes. Hi, Gustavo. We have Gustavo is a Batchbook customer coming to us from Brazil. You are in São Paulo, right? Oh, I can't hear you. Are you muted?
Let me turn it on. I think it just got better, right?
There you go. Works.
Okay, very good. Hi, guys. Hi, everyone.
Hi. Hey there.
I'm actually a little bit farther away. I'm in Porto Alegre, which is about an hour and a half flying south from São Paulo. Okay. And actually, we are a little closer to Buenos Aires than we are to São Paulo, which is not bad at all, because, you know, Buenos Aires is a very nice city. So, but hey, it's very nice to be part of it. That's globalization, as they call, right?
Yes, and very fun, and a very good example of video chat.
Very good, very good.
So, Gustavo, I don't know if you've been able to catch most of this, but I thought it would be fun to just talk to, you know, some other folks out there doing a lot of the same things that Chris and Formstack and me and Batchbook are doing. See if you have any questions for us or just thoughts on what it's like running your business.
Sure, why not? Well, actually, let me first apologize because it's been a while since I've last had to speak English. I lived for about 5 years in the U.S. and you know, you don't use it, you lose it. That's one of the sayings I learned when I was over there, right? But anyway, my business right now is way more traditional, at least for now, what both of you are doing
Gustavus, tell us quickly what I know what your business is, but tell everyone else what your business is.
Sure, why not? I run a school here in southern Brazil. It's a school that specializes in math. We both prepare students to university admission exams we have in Brazil, and we also teach students who already enrolled in the university, mostly on engineering courses, and are, getting a hard time in calculus and linear algebra and all these, crazy math subjects that engineers have to go through before they graduate. So we also do some tutoring, but it's not major. I mean, the basic services we offer, they divide maybe like 60-40% between these two activities. And since my background is in computer science, I'm always trying to find new services and new cloud services. I mean, as the SaaS applications that could improve our relationship. I mean, the school is called Mathematica Etc. And the etc. part specifically is dedicated to the idea of bringing people together and improving them, that it can be fun to go to a school where you're primarily going to learn math, but you can also make friends, and maybe that's the reason we identified so much from the very beginning, right, Pamela? And with the folks from the customer experience team, because it's all about feeling good. It's all about making sure people are having a good time.
Great, thank you very much. I'm going to add one more person now, Phil Rogers, who is with Webinizer. Let's see, Phil, are you there?
I am, but my camera's broken, I think.
Yeah. All right, yeah. We can hear you.
Yeah, that's good.
All right, we can see you. So Phil is with Revenizer.com. If you want to just introduce yourself real quickly and add any questions you have or comments or thoughts.
I've actually been relaxing and listening, so my creativity. But well, I think obviously, I'm actually embedded in the Batch Blue office, so I know these guys pretty well. But I guess as you grew your businesses, I'd be interested to how did the cultures? I mean, obviously, I know the Batch Blue culture is pretty unique. It'd be interesting to hear how some of that stuff actually came together over the years. And clearly, did you, Pam, make a decision that you wanted to have a kind of fun, upbeat kind of culture, or was it does it naturally evolve by the people you hire? I guess was it the people you hired, or did you make the decision, or was it a combination of both?
I think we missed the middle part of the question there.
Oh, was it did the culture emerge based on the people you hired, or was it you making the decision that you wanted to have a fun, family-friendly place to work?
I think for us, it was a combination of both. I mean, I think you can tell a lot about a company by the people they hire. I think it has always been important for me, and when I started the company, for everyone that was there in the beginning, that we incorporate a lot of the important parts of our lives into what we were doing with our work, that we have those flexible hours, flexible location. We had, from the beginning, had people working from Seattle, from other places, that we were able to have that flexibility. And so that really, when you sort of start with that type of a culture, that's the type of person this company really appeals to. So it really helps grow the culture. I don't know, Chris, if you have any, or Gustavus either, but Chris, if you want to talk about sort of how you guys have maintained that culture.
Yeah, I think what's interesting in my role is that I came in a few years into the company, And so there was a culture that was there when I arrived. And so for a long time, I actually kind of, I don't know, attempted to hold on to that culture and thought, okay, well, this has been successful so far, so I'm going to kind of continue to build things that way. And yet, I actually, are you able to hear me?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Actually, had an opportunity to listen to Joel Spolsky, who talked about having a somewhat similar experience and how he realized he needed to kind of live out his own values. And so I kind of embraced, like, hey, that there's going to be some of this company that just comes from me and what my personal values are. And, you know, I don't want to impose 100% of those on people, but I do want to, you know, I've got to lead based out of who I am. So some of it was intentional in that way. Some of it does just kind of come along naturally. Like you hire somebody and you notice all of a sudden people go to lunch at a different place than they used to, or, you know, the group of people as a whole used to like doing, you know, playing ping pong, and the new group of people don't like getting sweaty because we play really really raucous game of ping pong where you're running around and combination of volleyball and ping pong. So anyway, I think it is a combination of both. Like you want to intentionally build some principles like freedom and flexibility, and then you just hire good people, and some of those just naturally get plugged in along the way. But you also have to look at the other side, which is from time to time you run across people who are they conflict with the culture, and sometimes so much that it's not a good thing for them to be a part of the team. So
yeah. Gustavus, I know you're a family-friendly business as well, because I've seen pictures of you and your father working together. I mean, tell us about your culture and how you maintain it.
Yeah, actually, my dad is here right now, right behind this wall. But since the Brazilian national team is actually playing soccer right now, I'm not positive he'll be participating in this chat. You know, their priorities in the world. But anyway, so well, it's interesting. It's an actually interesting point. When I was in the U.S., especially in the first company I worked for, which is IDC, International Data Corporation. I'm sure you guys are familiar with the IDG group. It had that feel of regardless of being a large company, of a family unit within the Latin American group, where I spent almost 3 years. And that's something I tried to bring to the company. Having Dad here, being this local celebrity he is, makes things easier. Oh, I'm sorry, actually, let me just turn this down. Being the celebrity he is, I mean, the students just love him. It's unbelievable. He had his 70th birthday a couple years ago, and we put together this surprise party, and there were like 60 of his close friends he made here, who were between, say, 19 and 23 years old, having a great time with this 7-year-old, you know, gentleman, which just happened because of the culture of treating people as if they are just people. I mean, regardless of, you know, they're old, they're young, and the interesting thing, I was listening to Chris while he was talking, is that it's very hard to define exactly what the culture is, and writing down to a number of guidelines and stuff like that. But you know it exists, right? And you know when someone is not aligned to that specific culture, I mean, whatever it is, and this is something that happens here. You wouldn't believe it happens here before people join the school, and many people decide not to come because my sense is that they don't see them as fitting here as well as they would in other places, and I think it's a good thing, right? That I don't have a lot of people working here right now. We have both of us, my dad and myself, and 3 interns at this point. But being aligned to the culture and believing the things we do plays a very important role in the decision of bringing these people in, and on the other side, also on witnessing people making the decision to become part of our family. Why not?
That's awesome. Well, thank you. I think I'm gonna. I think it's about time to wrap up. I see Christelle, bobbing like she's ready to help us wrap up. So I will add my own very quick thank you to Chris and Gustavus and Phil and Christelle for organizing this. But I will let you wrap it up, Christelle.
Okay, well, thank you all. Thank you very much. It was very interesting. This is our very first one, so it's very exciting to us. We will have, our next one will be with the CEO and CTO of Direct Mail Manager on September 21st at 1 o'clock Eastern. If you're interested in joining in on that conversation, please tweet us. And thank you all very much for watching and for attending.
Thanks a lot.
Bye.